Hey everybody, Jeppy here, and what if the Valorant Protocol never existed? As we all know, the Valorant Protocol, or VP for short, are the elite organization that seemingly are the only way to protect Earth from the invaders of Omega Earth. The Valorant Protocol has 19 active agents currently that fight to defend Earth using unique weapons and abilities they manufacture. Some agents have amazing powers to fight in combat, like Radiance, while other agents use Radianite-fueled weapons to gain the upper hand. Not only does the VP protect Earth from the otherworldly attackers, but the original founding of the VP is due to the fact that Radiance that wanted to do whatever they wanted could with their powers. It would be very, very difficult for normal police to counter these Radiants if they desire to, cause harm to people or steal things, for example. So the birth of the Valorant Protocol was established. But what if that never happened? So, in order to answer the question of what would happen to Earth, or what the agents on the Valorant Protocol would be doing instead if it never existed, we need to remind ourselves on what they stand for. We already talked about the main reason why the VP was founded, to keep rogue Radiants in check, and if they were to step out of line or start causing harm to people, the Valorant Protocol would secretly be deployed to stop that. Now, we never did find out really what that means. Would they just stop by and give a stern talking to and say they're disappointed like your parents did? Or would they capture them until they change their ways and hold them? Or would they go to the extremes of lethal force to stop them? Again, we never did find out what they do when stopping these Radiants. But much more importantly, the VP are the main line of defense when it comes to the invasion of Omega Earth to steal Radianite from our Earth and teleport it back to their home planet. So what would this look like if the Valorant Protocol wasn't there to stop them? Well, we also have to ask the question, if the VP didn't exist on our Earth, would it even exist on Omega Earth? For the sake of making a fun video, we'll assume that for whatever reason, the Valorant Protocol on our Earth was never founded, but Omega Earth's did. Well, there wouldn't be any agents to stop the attacks that we've seen so far. Phoenix wouldn't have been there to stop Jet from detonating the spike in Venice, Italy, making the map ascend. No, I'm just kidding. Phoenix did try to stop Mirror Jet, but she just defeated him and detonated the spike anyways. Well, okay, so Venice wouldn't have turned out any different. But what about the Radianite refinery in Rabat, Morocco, for example, that was attacked the very next day, making the map bind? Killjoy, Phoenix, and Viper would have never been there to stop the detonation, and the whole facility would be destroyed and all the Radianite there with it sent to Omega Earth, growing their power further. Also, the diffuser would have never been invented on the fly from Killjoy. So with no means to successfully diffuse and stop a spike detonation, every single time an Omega Earth agent would plant a spike, it would guaranteedly explode every time, which is a very bad thing. In the retake cinematic, for example, the Omega Earth agents planted a spike in the Kingdom shipping facility on Icebox. Phoenix and Yoru would have never been there to stop them, and yet another detonation would have occurred, sending even more Radianite to Omega Earth. Real quick, if you guys didn't know, the spike is more of a teleporter than a bomb. It takes all the Radianite in the blast on the location and somehow miraculously sends it off to Omega Earth, where they can do whatever they want with it. Unfortunately, the side effects are, well, explosive, and they tend to, turn off gravity wherever they explode. You don't need me telling you that. It's a very bad thing when these explode. It's hard telling how many more places around the world would suffer the same exact consequences that Venice did in the Venice incident of 2049. Without anyone of significance to oppose them, I'm sure the Omega agents can pretty much decide wherever they want to go and just complete the mission. I also want to dive into what the Valorant Protocol agents would most likely be doing if there was no VP to ever be recruited into. Well, I would assume Brimstone would be still in the military training cadets, just like how he did before leading the VP. We can even see examples of this in the pictures on his desk in his office. Viper would still be a mad scientist conjuring up more sinister ways on how to kill people and make it torture while doing so. I seriously think Sage would open up a clinic or run a hospital or just something like that, especially with how passionate she is about healing people that are sick or injured. She would definitely love to help people with their problems. Remember when Sage was healing Jet's back when they went to the beach and she got a sunburn? I wonder what kind of prices Sage would charge if she ran a hospital or a clinic. You guys think she'd be expensive or cheap? Probably expensive. Well, what would Omen do if there was never a Valorant Protocol? Well, I'm guessing he would still be the Shadow Walker he is today. That wouldn't change. He was already the being he is today even before being recruited into the VP. Well, I mean, that we know of so far. Guys, it's actually really hard telling with Omen. Unfortunately, I think it wouldn't be so great for him. Without a core group of good people to be his friends and family with missions happening all the time to keep him focused, I think he would turn to violence. We already know that he somewhat enjoys killing people. Well, at least making them horrified when he does it. So what if that's like kind of an outlet to the constant pain he is in? What do you guys think Omen would do? I honestly want to see what you guys figure out. Breach and Raze would have definitely continued their life of crime. I guarantee they probably would have been caught or apprehended by now, which we know is Breach's greatest fear. Cypher would have made it his life mission to get revenge for the death of his family. Whether it was accidental or intentional, someone would have to pay. Well, actually, now I'm thinking about it, we actually don't know if Cypher's family was murdered. They very well could have died in a car accident. All we know that according to Fade, Cypher feels guilt for what happened. So maybe he could have stopped it somehow. Killjoy would have gone on to make the next biggest tech company in the entire world. Move over Apple and take a seat, Elon Musk, and your puny Tesla business. Killjoy is the queen of the tech world now. KO is an interesting one if you ask me. If he were to get to our Earth, I think he would kill all of the Radiants from the Omega agents because they are actively destroying our Earth. He would likely stay on Earth, ensuring the Radiant Wars never happened again. Likely killing any Radiants he sees fit. Again, we have to remember, guys, it was the close bond between Radiants and humans on the Valorant Protocol that shed a new light on its programming, that not all Radiants are bad. Well, speaking of Radiant Wars, would Reyna be successful in kick-starting another revolution in this timeline if the VP wasn't a thing? I think the temptation would definitely still be there, and a lack of a unified force to stop her might entice her further. This very well could be a easier scenario for Reyna to convince enough Radiants to start an uprising. Would Jet still be working at the Korean restaurant she, destroyed? Probably not. I think they probably would have fired her, but I think she would pursue her love for cooking somewhere else. She would also have to be careful with not getting in trouble with the law, as we've seen her vandalize property on a almost nightly basis whenever she's in the mood. Now, what would Chamber be doing? Well, the events of Fracture would have still happened, and the manufacturing of the teleporter on the Meridian that crash landed onto Breeze would still have happened as well, I believe. I can pretty much guarantee that Chamber would somehow weasel his way into the hearts of Omega Earth as they are growing in power each and every successful attack, and find a way to work with them. Whether it's selling weapons or teaching them how to speak French, I'm pretty sure Chamber would find a way to thrive. Neon would definitely capitalize on her radiant powers and start a new electric power company with her electricity, right? Probably not. Nah, I'm just kidding. She'll probably still be in the Philippines, running around, killing it in sports, and just loving life. Phoenix would definitely be a more cocky and arrogant person without the teachings of the protocol that has molded him into the more selfless person he is becoming today. Astra would likely have left Earth a long time ago, I think, in search of understanding her powers more. Well, perhaps the threat of Omega Earth might keep Astra around a little longer here on Earth and learn more about the alternate realities. I think Sova would be living a very peaceful life in Russia, not too far from his grandma's house, enjoying the cold air and hunting all he wants, while Sky would definitely be in arms against the mirror agents, especially with the damage to the environment the detonation of the spikes do. Yoru would still do what he always does, defend people from thugs that can't defend themselves and look good while doing so. That leaves us with Fade. Well, maybe Fade would have found the guy she is looking for that meant so much to her already. You know, she did spend like 2 months blackmailing the Valorant Protocol. So if there was never a VP, in existence, maybe she could have spent that time going out finding him, for example. She would definitely still communicate with Nightmare, I believe, and would be put in an interesting scenario when the Omega agents started attacking Earth. What do you guys think she would do with that? Speaking of the Omega agents again, they wouldn't be a secret anymore. In Valorant's lore, the public, and I'm sure even many world leaders, are unaware that an alternate reality exists, and the VP has been silently dealing with the attacks and covering up the evidence. Again, with no VP to stop them, it wouldn't take long for the world to figure out that they are under attack. Questions would rise with Venice, of course, but with each and every progressive attack, it would become more and more clear that they must defend themselves. So what would the world do to combat these invaders? Well, they would most likely make a national unified force to stop them. I can guarantee that along with militaries around the world, a task force would be made to combat them on a more even level, like Radiance and Radiant field weapons. Funny enough, guys, I think in a scenario where a Valorant Protocol never exists, I think eventually a kind of knockoff VP would eventually be formed. Now, it may not be called Valorant, the same name, and likely wouldn't even have the same agents, but it wouldn't be so secretive, and the world would cheer them on in defending Earth. They would have to act very, very quickly, though, because it's no telling how many spikes would be detonated until our Earth is unfortunately no longer inhabitable. So let's hope they're quick. Well, guys, did you like this little what if scenario I came up with? What did you guys think would happen, and what would the agents do if there was never a VP? Let me know by leaving a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, Jeppy out.